Special thanks to all our patrons who support the show every single week. We couldn't do it without you. Head over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast and subscribe today for bonus content, exclusive happy hour live chats, and more. Patrons, you help keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we're so grateful for you. Not a patron yet? Join us today at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Help support the show by using our Amazon affiliate link anytime you shop on Amazon for running gear, food, beverages, or anything else the little gray trucks might bring your way. Just use runeatdrink.net/Amazon anytime you shop. It costs nothing extra. It's only one extra click, and it helps us keep the lights on and the bandwidth flowing. Just go to runeatdrink.net/Amazon, and we thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Alan, part of the Runcation Nation. You are listening to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. Hope the miles are easy, the food is good, and you hydrate with the beverage of your choice.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country. And after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to episode 276 of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
It's part 2 of our return to the Disneyland races.
Yes. And as we're recording this, I feel as if we just got back. But that's, of course, because we just got back from another race that we're going to be talking about on the show next week. This week is all about, I think, how can I say this? Rebuilding.
I would like to say that the food and beverage is stellar.
Yes.
And the running is a work in progress.
Yes. Whether we're talking about ourselves or the race itself, we've got a lot to talk about in that respect on this week's episode. We're talking about the 2024 Disneyland half marathon.
Yes.
If you caught last week's episode, you know that we were talking about the 10K. This is going to be about day 2 of that 2-day running event, the Dumbo Double Dare
Challenge, which would be the 10K right, and the half.
And then we've got some absolutely, like you alluded to, phenomenal food and beverage to bring you.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be an entertaining episode, if nothing else. There's going to be a lot to learn. If you're a race director, there's a lot to learn. That's right. And if you're a first-time half marathoner, tons to learn. If you're a repeating half marathoner, might be some stuff to learn in here. It's going to be educational and informative.
Sure.
And maybe even somewhat entertaining.
Oh.
We certainly hope so.
You're going to be entertaining, that's for sure. And I would just like to start off with a shout out.
Oh, we've got some shout outs.
The man that you heard at the top of the show, the perfect marathoner for the Walt Disney World Marathon, although we're talking about Disneyland this week.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to thank Alan and Grace Young for the food and beverage portions of our show this week.
Yeah. Alan and Grace, you guys were absolutely phenomenal hosts.
So good.
When we get to travel and meet up with listeners, it is so much fun. And Alan and Grace not only gave us recommendations, they were like, no, we want to go out with you. And we actually got to partake in food and beverage with them. So thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for spending really 2 days with us.
Yes.
So we cannot thank you enough for that. And your recommendations were out of this world.
If you would like a shout out for you or for someone else someone you love on the show. It's February. It's almost Valentine's Day. Running related, food related, beverage related, accomplishment related. Email us at info@runeatdrink.net. That's info@runeatdrink.net. Or
you can give us a call. Call 941-677-2733. Leave us a voicemail. Keep it to about a minute. Tell us who you are in that message so that we can shout you out appropriately and we can play that message on the show to help use your voice to make you Runcation Nation famous.
who you are, where you're from, and what your shout out is. Let us know at 941-677-2733.
Should we talk running?
We should.
Okay. Like we said at the very opening of the show, we're back at Disneyland. We're in the greater metropolitan Anaheim, California area for this week's episode.
Yes.
And the Disneyland races have been gone for the last 7 years.
It's hard to believe that long.
It really was. It felt very familiar.
But different. And they changed some things. And if you listen to last week's episodes, we're not going to rehash everything that they changed. We'll make mention of some things since we experienced them on the Saturday. We already knew what to expect on Sunday. Well, a little bit, yeah.
But let's talk about pre-race for a bit. They keep the expo open both days. So
both on Thursday, let's just say Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Right. No expo Sunday.
Right.
So if you needed to pick up something at the very last minute, you'd be able to do. Like we said during last week's episode, this expo was very small by Disney standards. So I don't think this was the best race for you to just throw caution to the wind and say, I'll get whatever I need at the expo.
I'm going to check all my luggage, all of my important running gear, and just hope that my luggage doesn't get lost.
Yeah, this would not have been the best race to do that at, I don't think. Not as many options for clothing. I don't recall any options for shoes. Only one vendor for nutrition. They had a great selection, but only one vendor for nutrition.
That's true. I didn't see. Did we miss the shoes?
I don't think we did. We did. Like I said, this was a much smaller expo.
Yeah.
Than we would normally see. You certainly have the option. We did not have to go back to the expo for anything. So we were lucky in that respect. That morning,
we knew where we were going. Let's just say.
If you listen to last week's episode, you know, we were relying on 7-year-old Intel.
We showed up.
We start walking towards where the start line used to be. And
had we not run into some runners going the opposite direction, we would have been
standing in the middle of a Disneyland parking lot going, where the hell is everyone? So we knew where to go this time.
That's fair.
And we headed over. And again, the hotel we were staying at was the Hilton Anaheim.
Yes.
Which, as far as hotels in that area go, I think it's a really good option for people.
I do too.
Now, that's just being generally in the area. If you're looking for closest to walking distance to the new start and finish line, may not be your best choice.
Assuming they're going to keep it there.
And there's no way to tell.
Right.
So we walked over in the morning. This morning, we noticed that they did make some last minute changes. As we were heading over, we saw that they greatly expanded the security checkpoint.
That was good.
They went from, I think, what was it, 3 or 4 to 8 metal detectors. And that they seem to have it together a little bit better on day 2.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. However, we got through security in a fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, I thought so.
The setup of the corrals was somewhat similar to the 10K.
Yes.
And again, there was no audio in the back.
That was I think a swing and a miss there.
And
because those rear corrals were easily a quarter mile straight distance from the start.
So we didn't hear a whole lot.
Not at all. You could see it off in the distance. The audio was not carrying that far back.
No.
Now, we got through security fairly quickly.
Yes.
Not everybody did.
Not everybody did. We noticed that it was 5:29, 5:30, and there was really no movement. Usually we'll start to move when the earlier corrals get released or the waves begin.
Mm-hmm.
And was it a good 20 minutes?
Closer to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Delayed start.
And there was really nobody walking back to let us know what was happening or any kind of announcement. And clearly, if there was one, we couldn't hear it. Because we didn't have an audio set up in the back.
There was a lot of conversation within our own corral. People were speculating and theorizing what's going on. Why is this taking so long? Oh, it appears that security's taking forever. I think that they got crushed there
at the end,
towards the end. And unlike the day before where they basically just threw up their hands and said, screw it, let everybody come on in.
You don't think that happened? I don't know. There's no way to tell.
There's no way to tell, but it's certainly because of the delay, I'm inclined to think not.
Yeah.
But I couldn't say for 100% certainty. That said, about a 30-minute delay. And then all of a sudden, we did finally start to move. I don't really know what happened at the point when we finally made our way up to the area where the announcer is. Carissa is up there and all that. But I did not get the impression that the later corrals were released in waves. Did you?
If they
I don't think Corral
they were.
G was.
I think they were bigger.
Must have been much bigger.
I don't know. But it just, the whole morning felt off.
Yeah.
To me. And it's not that there wasn't excitement in the air and people were in costumes and excited and we all were.
Absolutely.
We all were. But there was just something unusual.
I think when you have a delay and you don't have a reasonable explanation that's provided to you, then that kind of starts making you think something's wrong. And you worry. And it creeps in.
Yeah.
Race directors, if Run Disney, if you're listening, remember the folks back in the back really need to know what's going on as much as the people up front.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, but once you get up there, Carissa's up there, they get the big display going. One thing that we noticed, I don't know if we mentioned it on the last episode, there were
no fireworks
at the start line this time.
No.
At all.
Mm-mm. And I don't know why. I don't know if there's some inside info that somebody else out there in the Runcation Nation knows why.
Alan, we're talking to you.
If you know, let us know. We're not really sure. But I missed it.
Yeah.
I missed the fireworks.
Having that, I think, is a nice touch. Mm-hmm. Just something that you noticed.
Yeah.
We get up there, and then as we're moving, I'm expecting us to be stopped. And then there's going to be this big build. There wasn't. Again, I felt like they were playing catch up with time.
Probably.
I don't think, and if there's other runners out there who were
could be totally wrong,
middle corral, and they know a little bit better, or something, I just got the impression that they were like, we're going to let corral. We were corral G.
We were the very last corral,
final corral, and we weren't in the back of that corral by any stretch. We were front half, like closer to the front than the back, towards the middle, and they just had us go. And, okay. This is happening. Let's talk about course and strategy a little bit.
Okay.
Course starts and finishes off the property.
Yes.
Just like the 10K. Yes.
I really enjoy the park time that we have on the race course proper.
I love running in those parks.
It's just beautiful, especially as the sun comes up or as you're still there and the sun is not quite up and everything is illuminated almost like it's at night.
Which one's your favorite? Which park?
California Adventure.
Yeah. I love the look of Pixar Pier.
Yeah.
When it's all illuminated, and I just think it's beautiful. They did such a nice job with that refresh that they did.
The whole
there.
thing is gorgeous.
And then Cars Land also.
I love Cars Land. We need to spend more time in Cars Land.
It is really
Yeah.
The Imagineering that they did there is just absolutely fantastic. And one thing that I think it's a nice point of contrast, that there's a big difference between running in Disneyland and Disney World, and we've run in both. And out there you get Disneyland and you get California Adventure.
Yes.
They're adjacent to each other. You're literally just running right through the little common area between the two parks.
To get to one from the other.
Yeah, that is super cool. In Orlando, you've got to get on basically the highway.
Yeah,
to do
Osceola.
Osceola Parkway or World Drive.
Something.
It's a long stretch typically to get from one to the other. And that's when they have to drop in a lot of things along the race course, DJs and character stops. And
also gives them an opportunity, though, to put in well-spaced out water and hydration stops.
Oh, yes. We're going to talk about those in just a second. Again, you start off the property, you go in. They had made some course correction initially right before you get to mile 1. There was that section where once you turned in off of Catella and then you made the first right to go in sort of the back area of California Adventure on the 10K, it was pitch black. It was very dark. People were using cell phone flashes, flashlight to see. They had decided, or they heard the feedback and they put additional lighting out there. And
Which was good.
Kudos to them for doing that for safety. Yeah.
So that the first part of the half, I think it was very similar to the 10K.
Yes. Do we want to mention at this point, like where we started seeing some of the logistical issues?
Yeah.
Because you alluded to it.
Yeah.
We get there, mile 1 right around mile 1, there was the first water stop. I first noticed that they did not have water at half of it.
They were still setting up.
One side was not
I think.
prepared at all.
And they told us to go to the
left.
opposite side where they actually had some set up.
Some.
Yeah.
So that was at mile 1. And then again at mile 3, this is now in, I want to say Frontierland.
I don't know. I can't remember where it was. I can just remember that it was just very narrow.
Yeah, it narrows to about maybe 20 to 25 feet wide. And that was where they decided to set up a water stop. That in and of itself, I think, is a questionable choice. But then the problem came when the water stop was not ready. And this became a recurring theme at, I want to say, all of the water stops throughout the day.
Yeah.
They weren't ready. And at mile 3, it came to a dead stop.
Yes.
For me.
Yes.
And I was a little bit ahead of you.
Yes.
And when I say dead stop, for several minutes, we were all just standing around going, what is going on? Nobody knew. They didn't have any sort of crowd control person with a megaphone letting you know what was happening, or they didn't have pre-recorded messaging like you get at the Disney World races a lot that will say, caution, runner, speed bumps ahead, or whatever the necessary message du jour might be. And I remember I texted you that we were at a dead stop. So several minutes. I'm like, okay, this is weird. Finally get through and then try to recreate the space that you might have created for yourself getting away from balloon ladies. Like, this is awkward. And then throughout the race, the recurring issue was that the water stops appeared to not ever get caught up.
Yeah.
Most of them were pouring and handing.
Yeah.
There was never a table I went to that had water prepped.
They were nice people.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
I don't know that they were given enough time to get out there ahead of the runners. That's
maybe that's what it was.
I don't know. Hard to say.
Yeah.
But the volunteers are always phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Very positive, very encouraging. Just could never get a flow or get ahead or stay on top of just didn't have a flow, didn't have a cadence.
Mm-mm.
So and so that's hard.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was hard on them.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And I know that some of the runners were less than cheerful. Yeah. And you got to remember, it's not the volunteers' fault when they're out there to help.
Yeah.
So that was tough and took away a little bit of the magic there.
Yeah.
But we persevered and continued on. Now, what was your race strategy during the course itself?
I had talked to Jeff, and he had said, just walk as much as you can to warm up in the early miles, and then do 5:30.
5:30. So a 1-to-6 ratio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But after that whole bottleneck at mile 3, I could never make up the distance between me and the balloon ladies. I made it outside the park.
Mm-hmm.
So I made it to, what was that, mile 5, and then the exit to the park.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the balloon ladies were just right there with me the entire rest of the way that I could actually keep up with them. I could only keep up with them until along about mile 6, 7. I never found my groove in the back half of that race when we got out on the roads. And I ended up getting picked up at mile 8.
So you were done at mile 8, and at that point, after mile 5, that's where the race turns to city streets.
Yes.
Give me your thoughts and impressions about the course from like miles 5 to 8. What'd you think?
It was the city streets. And I will tell you that the highlight of my race experience would be running into Craig on the course. Mm-hmm. And he was just amazing. He had a torn meniscus and he was out there doing it. And we were together for much of that time on the road until about mile 7 when he said, it's too much. It's too painful. I'm done. But he was always positive and it was just nice to have a fellow runner who was real and who was just genuine and supportive.
Yeah.
He was wonderful.
Shout out to Craig.
And a fellow coffee lover. He's good people. And it was just city streets, lots of city streets. So you go from sensory overload and beautiful course and cast members cheering for you to we're on the city streets.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. And the people who picked us up in the van and transported us back to the finish, they were so nice, so wonderful. People, they always are concerned about your welfare.
Oh, yeah.
And they were just really kind people. But yeah, it just was not my day. And I don't know, you're going to have to tell our listeners, since you finished, what I missed on the course.
We've done a couple of different races out there. We've done the Avengers Superheroes half marathons. We've done the Star Wars light side out there.
Yes.
And we have had the benefit of running several courses that involve surface streets outside of the park. Anytime you're going to get past the 10K, they're going to have to use some surface streets to create that distance for you. Some courses are better than others.
Yeah.
We've done courses that took us along dry riverbed.
Yes.
We have done courses that take us through Angel Stadium with your face up on the Jumbotron. So this one here, interestingly enough, what you said, city streets and then crickets. They took us through streets, and I see why they did it. As I put on my professional public safety hat. I see why they chose some of the streets that they did. Very easy traffic control, probably some less traveled areas on a Sunday that would be a little easier to manage with fewer police and cause the least amount of disruption. That said, there were some stretches really from about once you left the park till about mile 10 where it wasn't very scenic. You just had industrial park, old or older strip malls. There wasn't a lot to look at. In those areas, you had some crowd support, but not as much as in previous years. And I missed things like a big turnout from, let's say, the 501st Legion out there. That's a Star Wars fan group of people who like to cosplay Star Wars, and they tend to show up for the Star Wars races. But they're very big on charity. And it's an amazing organization. If you've got a local chapter and you're into Star Wars, look them up. But there were a couple out there. Like I think I took pictures with them, but yeah, that's what they were. And they had signs that said, bring back Star Wars races. That was great. But it was so small by comparison. There was the time that we did the superheroes half, and you had World War II era Peggy Carters, and you had a bunch of Marvel heroes. Then you had all the swing dancers out there in World War II period costumes, swing dancing on a floor that they brought.
Yes.
That was really cool. They had a small car club show up at one point, which was great. Again, loved seeing the cars, loved the folks that were there, but it definitely is a rebuilding year, I think.
You were looking for more.
We've been spoiled going out there and experiencing more. Yeah. And it didn't happen. So really from like mile 7, 8, 9, not a lot to look at. Once you got towards like mile 10, there was a segment where we ran by Angel Stadium, but we didn't run through it. Oh. There's a segment where we ran by the Anaheim Ducks arena and through the parking lot. And they had big inflatable hockey players out in the parking lot. So you had something to look at there. But they would route you through the parking lots of both of these venues. And that was really about it. You had some of the cheerleaders there from the Ducks. That was very nice. And then they routed us down from like I want to say it was mile 11 to 12. We were along that riverbed. Now, in the years since we first did the race course, they appear to have greatly improved that, and that's now a linear park. Oh. So you have a nice mixed use path there that's well paved as opposed to what we initially ran on years ago, which was uneven pavement that had been put out there and was more of a foot access path, but not really meant to be run on. Yeah. Oh. So that was okay. And then we ended up coming off of that path to like out near the mass transit station, like a transfer station for the buses. Oh. And then back onto surface streets for the last mile and a half to the end of the race course. Again, nothing terribly scenic. At that point, though, there was a little bit more crowd support which was nice.
That's good.
Yeah, because I think you got closer to the hotels. Maybe it was family of other runners. There were some local folks that came out there. One thing that I will say, they did seem to have a lot of medical support along the course.
Good.
I ended up taking advantage of it a couple of times just for blisters. So that worked out very nicely. There were a couple of people I saw on the course go out on a medical out. One really bad fall, and then somebody else who was just having a really tough time, I think, managing their hydration. You hate seeing those.
Yes.
You really do, especially when somebody gets like seriously injured and there's blood and everything. So I was like, oof, that was rough. Mile 12 to 13, basically, it was kind of a straight-ish shot. It took us right back down the road where we were staged initially in the morning. I literally ran through the section of road where we were standing in our corral. And then you hang a right turn into the Disney parking lot where they had the finish line set up. And boom, there you are. So yeah, that was it. Hated not having you on the course. I understand it's not always your day. Whether your knee or when you can't get a groove, it's hard. I didn't get a groove, really. I just slogged that one out. It was ugly. I was doing 555s and 1050s for my intervals. And I had not gotten up to more than, in the previous several weeks, I hadn't gotten more than 5 miles in a training run. It was bad. I was undertrained for this. You've heard me talk about it on previous episodes where I've been dealing with something going on with my left Achilles. It's still there. So I'm definitely going to have to get that checked out because that actually impacted me on this past week's race as well. And we'll be talking about that next week, but it was not pretty.
But you did it.
But I did it. Yeah. Finished that up. I was able to complete it and get my medals for both the Dumbo Double Dare and the Marathon Weekend medal. And the Marathon medal, let's talk about medals and swag a little bit.
Okay.
We talked about the shirts last week. Shirts were great. The medals, though, is really where Disney shines, in my opinion.
That is true. Yes. I like the classic design of the half marathon medal. I really do. And I failed to mention that when I got transported to the finish, I just kept walking the 5 miles that I owed because I couldn't keep pace.
Right.
But I still wanted to finish the mileage, so I did.
And you did your 13.1.
Yeah. So I really like the letter D for Disney, the Disneyland, that font, that, and the Mickey and Minnie that are like spring loaded onto the medal. Yeah,
they're in color, and like you said, they're mounted on these springs that gives them a little bit of separation and depth from
it's like
the
a 3D
background.
Effect.
Yeah, and this is a great looking medal. The medal itself, the D of Disney, is a brushed or a satin finish.
Yeah.
And yeah, you've got the castle in the foreground, and then, or the midground, and then the Mickey and Minnie in the foreground. And I think it's great looking metal.
And I also like the Dumbo Double Dare, which is a spinner, but not in the way that you would think.
I didn't even notice it was a spinner initially until we accidentally were messing with it. And I went, oh, look at that.
Yeah, it just spins. It doesn't.
The background spins.
The background spins, and then there's Dumbo, and it says the Double Dare Challenge, the Dumbo Double Dare Challenge, 19.3 miles, and Dumbo and the facial expression and just the amount of detail in the pastel colors and just it's like a throwback to classic Disney. So I really like that, and it's well done. Yeah.
And as far as the post-race party goes, again, very different here. You know, they only had one kind of photo op set up.
There was no beer.
No beer.
No beer.
I didn't see any any sort of food or beverage really being offered in the post-race area.
You mean other than the banana in the box?
Other than the banana in the box.
Yeah.
Was that it?
That's it.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
Very different. Again, very different than Disney World.
Yeah.
In that respect.
I think that they're going to come back and build on this experience.
Yeah. So the takeaways from this are, like we had initially said last week, like you said, it's a building year. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned here, but I think that if you're a Disney fan and you're a fan of doing the Disney races, this is a great weekend to go and run. I would say now that they're back, and if you think that you might enjoy running through Disneyland, you're going to enjoy running through Disneyland. Go do it.
They've just introduced that Halloween race, that Halloween half.
Yes.
At the beginning of September, and that might be interesting.
It might be.
So
they've got some neat medals that are coming as well. They've posted them you can see them on the Run Disney website. Mm-hmm. Those medals have been announced. I think that there's a lot of positive, but there were some hiccups, and those it was like having to start over.
Yeah. That's all in all, I am very happy that we went.
Yes. Nothing that we are saying here should be construed as not recommending trying this race out.
Exactly.
But we just wanted you to get a full idea of what our experience was and how it compared to to previous experiences out there when the races were more established and had been held on the regular.
Yes. So I think they're going to come back and they're going to improve and enhance the experience.
So keep your eyes open for race openings and registration openings. As
of this recording, the Club Run Disney for that Halloween half opened and was today. And then General is a week from today as we're recording this.
There you go.
Which is February 6th and
February 13th.
6th and 13th.
Yeah. So keep your eyes open for that. We'll have links in the show notes, of course.
Yes.
And so that's the race. But all this talk of running.
Man, I'm hungry. Let's talk food.
Let's talk food. It helps when we talk about eating where the locals eat to be able to meet up with some locals.
Alan and Grace took us to a place called Cafe Hiro.
Hiro.
And it's tucked away in a little mall.
Yep. A little strip mall restaurant that if you didn't know it was there, you might pass it.
And how far away were we from our hotel? Maybe 15
minutes.
15 minutes by car.
Tops.
And apparently you need a reservation. We got
there and the place filled up quick.
Oh, I didn't even see any open seats except for the ones that we took when we got there. Mm-hmm. So it's just, and it's not a tiny little place. There are several tables, but those tables are in high demand because the experience at Cafe Hiro in terms of the attention and service, but also the meal itself makes this place a can't miss. We loved it.
And this spot, as it was explained to us, became a local favorite as many technology companies were opening up in that area.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And the chef owner is doing just absolutely incredible things. And you've got the menu over there. Well, it's
described as a blend of Japanese and French with a touch of Italian influence.
Okay.
That's
all. I know that sounds like it's all over the map. And it is all over the map.
It is, but it's not.
In the most glorious way.
Yeah.
And there are just some interesting things on the menu, but we ended up getting an option that you can only have if you have 4 or more people.
You have to, just go with 4 people.
Yes. Make 2 friends on the race course.
Mm-hmm. And
go.
make sure you have a reservation and just do it. Because it's a family style, what I don't even know how.
Omakase.
Omakase is how, I'm sorry about any mispronunciation, but it's a party of 4 or more. It's $45 per person, but we were celebrating. We were celebrating the return of the Run Disney races and celebrating the meeting up with members of the Runcation Nation, seeing the Avengers campus. It was just a wonderful weekend of celebration. So this includes 3 appetizers, salad, 2 pastas, entrees all around, a risotto, and dessert. And if you leave hungry, it's your own fault.
Absolutely.
That is all I'm going to say. Because we had calamari to start. We had the Peking pork bao buns.
Oh.
And we had the calamari. And we had the salad with the shrimp and the citrus vinaigrette. Oh, I'm drooling a little because, so good.
So let's start with the appetizers.
So the calamari, Parmigiano Reggiano, parsley and black pepper, and those rings were just very delicately breaded.
Yes.
Delicate.
Perfectly fried. Absolutely not tough in any way, shape, or form. I mean, melt in your mouth. Nice crunch on the very light breading that was there. Just wonderful.
Yeah.
The bao buns. I love a bao bun. I think that they're a lot of fun to eat. I think that it's basically like a Asian taco almost.
It's on a pillow.
It's pillowy.
It's pillowy. And the pork is like the sliced pork and then the Asian herb mix and the hoisin.
Mm-hmm. The pork was pull apart tender. Just wonderful.
So
that
good.
hoisin sauce gives you a little bit of salty, a little bit of sweet. The spices were perfect. And the pork was juicy, which is just incredible.
Oh.
And then what was our third appetizer? That was fried chicken.
Yes. Individual little fried chicken pieces with miso sauce.
Oh. Yeah. It was like a spicy miso drizzle thing. Think of it as like chicken tenders is not the right word.
No, because they weren't like long planks of chicken.
No, it was more like nuggets almost, but not like pressed nuggets. These were just like chunks of wonderful dark meat chicken. Oh, yeah.
Good.
That spicy miso sauce was killer. And then we had you talked about the shrimp salad. So we had basically this nice, cool green salad topped with these perfectly cooked hot shrimp.
Yes. And it was like a citrus dressing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a citrus vinaigrette. Again, the shrimp were huge, plump, perfectly cooked. The dressing, that was such a nice compliment to the shrimp. Phenomenal. And then this is where we got 2 pastas that could have been more different if we had tried.
Yeah, because we did get pasta with meat sauce.
Yes.
And who knew?
And it was wonderful. But I think the star of the meal, one of the stars of the meal, Alan kept asking how we felt about uni.
Yes.
I'm not opposed to uni. It's not typically something that I seek out. I think you're the same. Even when we go for sushi, you're not really big on uni.
No.
They had an option. One of their pastas is a uni pasta.
Sea urchin uni spaghetti with toasted seaweed.
Oh.
Yeah.
That right there, that description does not do this dish justice.
No.
There's nothing fishy about that dish.
There's a sweetness to it. There's like a creaminess and a sweetness.
And then a really earthy umami flavor.
And it's not like a tomato sauce. There's not a tomato sauce. It's like a
Kind of like a brown sauce.
yeah. I mean a white yeah. It's not
It's its own thing. I can't compare it to white clam sauce.
no.
I can't compare it to any sort of a red sauce.
And it's not like a garlic and olive oil situation.
No. But it's very rich.
Very rich.
Incredible flavor. Nice, and with the seaweed, that gives you a little bit of that flavor of the ocean, a little bit of saltiness. But this was the most unique thing one of the most unique dishes I think we've ever had on the show.
Yes, and it's so hard to describe, but delicious.
Pasta was cooked perfectly al dente. The sauce itself just adhered wonderfully to the pasta. There was no separation where you had watery sauce or oily sauce. The flavor is creamy, slightly sweet, a little umami, just perfect. Nothing fishy. And if you had just handed me this plate and said, try it, I'd have tried it, and I never in a million years would have guessed that it was sea urchin.
No, I would be thinking, gosh, is it like a sweet potato situation or
sweet potato, mushroom, pork stock,
something?
Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one, and we try to be as descriptive as we can be.
Yeah, but I just think you have to have it.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You have to have it. Yeah.
Then again, the food kept coming.
Yeah.
So
2 pastas.
Yeah. The red sauce that they did, the kind of a traditional meat sauce.
And it was sweeter, I would say.
Wonderful though. So I had some really good Italian pasta at the Asian spot that we went to.
I know.
Then we had a risotto.
Yes. And you are a big fan of scallops.
I am. Scallops are my go-to for seafood. A lot of people love shrimp. A lot of people really go for lobster. I think that if you get really well-prepared scallops, you're getting the best bang for your buck. Nice and meaty, sweet, delicious. This scallop risotto or mushroom risotto with scallops. So you have the description there?
Oh, the mushroom with it just says on the risotto, they have a roasted Chilean sea bass with mushroom risotto. Then they have the seared scallop with mushroom
which is
risotto
what we
with citrus yuzu sauce.
Yeah.
That is their description.
They
also have duck breast with mushroom risotto, ginger scallion miso sauce. So, sorry.
No, it's okay. The mushroom risotto, a well-cooked risotto is so creamy and hearty and just wonderful. And
it almost looks in a photo like an oatmeal.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No. And typically a properly prepared risotto won't have any cream in it. The creaminess that you're getting is from the slow cooking and the repeated adding of your stock to your risotto or rice and then stirring and waiting for it to absorb. And it's releasing so much of the starch from the risotto itself. Yeah.
And we had steak.
We did.
We had steak in the entrees.
That was our entree.
Yeah. And it was sliced.
Yeah, they did a very well-prepared New York strip for us.
Oh. And there were potatoes, like a scalloped kind of potatoes. And It's like the consistency of soy sauce, but it was not soy sauce. The sauce they had on the side,
Their steak sauce.
their steak sauce. But it was tender and juicy and flavorful and just, and by this time you've had, the meal is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge and so delicious. Everything.
Absolutely. Then it's time for dessert.
Oh,
They do a absolutely life-changing bread pudding
yes.
that they make out of croissants.
And Grace said, you've got to try the caramel sauce because it's not your typical caramel sauce. Because she said caramel, and I was like, oh, yes, I love. But it was a different kind of darker caramel sauce.
This was a bitter caramel.
Yeah, not as sweet.
It definitely had a more subdued sweetness, and then it had a little bitter note at the end.
Yeah.
But it was phenomenal. But the bread pudding that they do has this perfect, almost custard-like consistency
Yes.
that is just so warm and welcoming and flavorful and just incredible. And I would never in a million years would have thought to make bread pudding with a croissant. What a great idea. It makes total sense because the croissant is just enough butter to hold all the flour and salt together.
If you can make bread pudding out of a Krispy Kreme donut, can you just, the flakiness and the butteriness of the croissant is just out of this world.
Carries through. And then when you've got all that liquid in there and it absorbs in, and then that becomes the custardy center. It's ridiculous.
The whole meal was wonderful. And I cannot thank them enough for introducing us to this place.
Yeah.
We never would have found it otherwise.
No, it's always wonderful to hear from the locals where to go.
Yeah.
And we might have found it.
Well, maybe, but so much easier.
It's off our beaten path.
Yes.
And getting the tea from the locals is the way to go.
Yeah.
Cafe Hiro, we have a link to their Facebook page in the show notes, which is facebook.com/Cafe Hiro Cyprus.
Yes.
And we cannot recommend them highly enough. This is one of the best meals I think that we have ever covered on the show. Get a couple of friends, do that omakase family style meal.
Yes.
It's absolutely out of this world.
Let's just do it again. Sorry.
Well,
You know, it would be the perfect place to go in a foursome for Valentine's Day.
where?
To Cafe Hiro.
Oh, yeah.
It would be the perfect place.
Oh, I thought you were asking me where would be the perfect place to go.
If you were out there.
Yeah.
If you were out there. And then would come, what would you get as a gift? What would be a thoughtful and lovely gift? And I was thinking about what has helped us over the last few months the most. Mm-hmm. And I think a perfect gift would be a subscription to Magic Mind.
I would love that.
Yeah. Good.
It's a good thing.
Good. It's a good thing because it's a gift that just keeps on giving in terms of a little productivity a little productivity shot can go a long way without having a negative impact on sleep and not giving you the jitters and allowing you to enjoy your coffee as well.
Oh, exactly. I think they complement each other nicely. I'm a big believer because, number one, it's got ingredients like ashwagandha, matcha, green tea. It's got cordyceps. It's got lion's mane. These are all things that have been shown to have tremendous benefits when it comes to things like relaxation and focus without giving you all that caffeine to just get you jittery and anxious. And if you're looking for something to help you increase your productivity, going with the world's first productivity shot's what I'm talking about.
It's Magic Mind. And what's really great is if you go to magicmind.com/runeatdrink and you use the code runeatdrink20, you can get 56% off your first subscription or 20% off your one-time purchase.
That's runeatdrink20 is the offer code. It also works if you're already a subscriber. It lets you save on your next subscription payment.
So go to magicmind.com/runeatdrink and use the code runeatdrink20 to try it out today. I think everybody in the Runcation Nation could benefit from it. And we just want to thank everybody at Magic Mind for sponsoring this week's show.
Now, you drink that shot, but that's not the drink we're going to be talking about on this week's show.
You can have it and have your coffee too. I don't have to choose.
That's right. You don't. And it's a good thing because this week we are talking about coffee.
I love it. And it's not that we didn't have an indulgent beverage. I didn't know that there was sparkling sake and that we got to experience at Cafe Hiro.
We did.
Which was great. But Alan and Grace also had a fantastic recommendation. They had recommendations we didn't even get to that we have to put on the list for when we go back out there.
True.
But they had a couple of fantastic coffee recommendations. And this place was, 10 minutes away from our hotel.
If that.
And it was called Philz with a Z Coffee.
Yeah. And this is a local chain.
Yes.
That is doing really crafted, handmade coffee drinks to order. And we had just the most wonderful morning going there and having a cup of coffee. And we decided to record our experience right there in Philz Coffee in the neighborhood as we were
cute little neighborhood
enjoying our beverage there. And I think that you guys are going to enjoy this. So without further ado, here's me and Amy talking about our experience at Philz Coffee.
Yay. Hey, Runcation Nation. We are at Philz Coffee here in California on the Disneyland half marathon weekend.
Yeah, I don't know if we're in Anaheim proper still. We're just maybe 5 minutes from the hotel that we're staying at, which is the Hilton Anaheim, right across from Disneyland. But the neighborhood that we're in, this is such a cute little place.
I know.
Tiny little houses, and then there's the intersection that we're at. Looks like a artsy district almost. And it's got some nice restaurants and little shops, and this is just adorable.
I think you could just start with a coffee here.
And just walk.
Yeah, and just walk and see, where all the cute little spots are.
Yeah.
It's a little friendly neighborhood. And Philz Coffee, this, I have to say, is a recommendation from a member of the Runcation Nation. That would be Alan Young, a perfect Walt Disney World marathoner.
Yes. And also a native. We're in his territory now.
We are. So we want to know where the locals go.
Exactly. The locals know where the best spots are.
Exactly.
And
perfect.
I have to say, what have we been here? 10 minutes?
Maybe.
In that time, I think that he might have steered us right. Now, when you look at this place, it immediately, to me, looks like it's very open. The front of the building has what looks roll-away doors. Now, I don't know if they actually roll away or not.
They look like they could.
Yeah, it looks like almost like roll-away garage doors, but they're made out of glass.
Yeah, it's like a window pane situation.
I think they do. Looking at the doors, and yes, they do.
Yeah?
I can see it now. So when the weather's perfect, I bet they open this wide.
Which is lovely. And they're seating both inside and outside. And there are high top tables and low top tables. There are places to connect your devices if you're working.
Yeah, and they have almost like two seating areas. One is for the grab and go folks. They have a designated section for Uber Eats and
DoorDash pickup.
DoorDash.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then this long communal bench where if you want to sit and wait for your coffee. And I say sit and wait for your coffee because one thing that you'll not see when you step foot in here that I noticed is a coffee machine. There's no brewer.
Everything is made to order. And you noticed that it was pour over.
Pour over coffees. Now, we'll have to take a look for if they make espresso style drinks. I don't think they do. Based on what I was looking at the menu, they don't have a cafe latte on the menu,
right.
But they've got their own take on it, which is a brewed coffee with milk and honey.
Ah, yes.
So,
see, you're the one that's been to coffee school, coffee college.
Yes.
So,
in a former life, I was a barista.
In college, you are the one that I rely on for the coffee expertise. What is pour over?
Pour over is a slower brewing method, and if it's done, it really does a nice job of getting all of the CO2 out of your ground beans, and which reduces your tasted acidity in the cup. It also gives you the maximum extraction without over extracting your beans and you getting a residual bitterness that maybe isn't supposed to be there.
Okay.
Now, a lot of places will do it. They will do it as a special request or for a nominal fee, an upcharge, because it's more time consuming. You have to bloom the coffee grounds with water initially, which is that initial soak, and let the CO2 bubble out, and then you're just adding water. It's not a way to really turn out a ton of coffees really fast.
Yet, when I look at this place, the entire parking lot is mobile order pickup?
Mobile order
in terms
only.
of parking.
Yeah, they've got...
So you have to find a place on the street to park around.
They've got 8 parking spaces, and they're all for mobile pickup. Everything else is street parking.
And they have an app where you can order ahead.
Which we do not have.
No, we didn't download it. We just came to explore.
Yes.
And indulge in caffeinated beverages.
We are indulging in caffeine because this morning we ran the Disneyland 10K. That was a 2 a.m. wake up. We're still on East Coast time, so
you were still sleeping a little while I was doing yoga.
Oh yeah, I slept through your yoga routine. No reason for me to get up.
What, you don't want to do yoga with me, huh?
Not at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know.
That's fair. Fair.
But we're still on East Coast time, so that helps a little bit.
It does.
But right around now, which it's only as we're recording this 10:30 in the morning,
local time.
That's 1:30 our time.
Yes.
I'm ready for my afternoon coffee.
You're ready for your afternoon coffee?
And this is perfect.
Yes.
So we ended up starting with a couple of their house blends. And they do blends of beans. And I love that because that really tells me they're not just buying whatever a local purveyor of coffees wanting to sell. They are taking the time to select beans, combine them for different flavor notes they're looking for, and give you a final product that's unique.
And I like how their menu is set up to promote that, to display that. It's
front and center.
You have categories like dark and bold, medium and balanced, or light and bright.
And they do have a couple of options on their menu, I noticed, that do have flavoring added, but they seem to be very judicious about it. For instance, they have a Turkish coffee that's available. Turkish coffee is typically not filtered. It's very finely powdered, and it's boiled.
Ooh.
And you'll throw a cardamom seed into this small pot that you're cooking or you're making your coffee in. So that cardamom flavor is very strong. Their Turkish coffee, they add cardamom.
Oh, okay.
So really nice touch there. But that's not what I got.
What did you get?
I picked a coffee off of their light and bright section of their menu.
And I thought you were going to go dark and bold.
I almost did, because again, that would have been a good option for getting that Turkish varietal, and I may still before we leave. So there may be some bonus content coming.
Ooh.
But I wanted to go with a black coffee, one of their specialties, and see what I was in for, and am I going to get a really good coffee experience? And the one that I picked is called Ambrosia, and they call it Coffee of the Gods. And their tasting notes for this are milk chocolate, dried berry, and almond. I got a large because that's how I roll.
Of course.
And the light and bright is absolutely perfect. This coffee, light body, nice flavor. This has those notes that they talk about are really more like after you swallow.
And
Kind
exhale.
of exhale in the nose of the coffee.
Yes.
This is a perfect morning cup of coffee here. This is for somebody, I think, that if you like lighter bodied coffee, maybe a little bit of milk in it, this would be a really good option. Too much milk would probably overpower it or drown
And
it
you
out.
would taste the milk
Nothing but
and
the
less
milk.
the notes.
But this
Like a
is
touch of milk.
just
would be.
a hint of milk.
But
And-
also good black.
Oh, it's very good black. This is super drinkable, not terribly acidic. There's a little tannins on the end on your tongue, so it feels like dry, like white, like you've had a red wine.
Yeah.
That is, to me, just a great cup of coffee.
I have to say, mine is flavorful too. I went in the medium and balanced category.
You stole mine. I was so going to get this one.
It's called Silken Splendor, and the notes on it are toffee, chocolate, and citrus.
And see, that appealed to, I knew the toffee was going to
Appeal to me.
appeal to
Right,
you. I
yeah.
knew that. I love the combination of chocolate and citrus.
Oh, like orange and chocolate.
Orange and
you
chocolate
see a lot.
is perfect. And I'm really curious. What do you think of that?
I really like it. I got the chocolate notes right away.
Okay.
Yeah. I got the chocolate notes right away. I think the toffee might be highlighted if you add milk or cream
Okay.
to this. And then I think the citrus notes just punch up that chocolate note.
Toffee notes will pop in coffee, usually during the roasting process. It's usually because you're going with a medium roast, because you're not burning the hell out of the bean, and you're leaving some of the residual sugar behind. So as you add heat to that sugar, it browns, and it starts to give you those flavors like brown sugar toffee, that type of thing.
Okay.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I feel both of those, the toffee and the citrus are, and it's not, I'm not saying it's sweet because I'm having it black. I'm having it black just like you.
Sweetness, when you talk about sweetness in coffee tasting, though, it's not sweet like sugary sweet. It's almost just little hints of it.
Yeah. And it's not bitter. It's not acidic.
It's like they know what they're doing with that pour-over method.
Yeah. I like it.
I think that
and I'm having it hot. Although you could have it ice.
Yeah, we'll have to do a little research to see. Philz has the look and polish of a corporate store, or even...
They have multiple locations.
Okay. I was going to say, the amount of money they put into this location leads me to believe that they probably have multiple locations, like they're a chain, but small
Local.
or a regional chain or a local chain, and there's nothing wrong with that. And what I love about a place like this, and I'm going to say this with the utmost respect for Starbucks, because like them or not, Starbucks is responsible for popularizing coffee across the country. And they do know how to make some good drinks at Starbucks.
Yes.
You may not like their baseline roast of their coffee, and the big complaint you usually hear from Starbucks drinkers is that it tastes burnt.
Yeah.
And you're talking to somebody whose day is fueled by Starbucks every single day. I have a Starbucks every morning. But I like a place like this because when you get more creative with the blends of the beans and you don't have a standardized darker roast, you can peak roast when I used to work for another competitor of Starbucks that I won't say the name because I don't want to steal any IP, but roasting for peak flavor. So it may be a different darkness in one bean versus another.
Oh, yeah,
Because
like a split roast.
Exactly.
Like a split roast.
It's not the same recipe for every coffee bean. And if your roast master knows how to do that and you can get the most out of the beans, you're going to get a better cup. This is a really good cup of coffee.
Yes. I think both of them are. And I'm interested. I would say you pick your drink, hot or iced, on their menu, and then you select the slice. The prices are not terrible.
No, they're going to be competitive with any high-end coffee location.
I would liken them to, like you said, like Starbucks prices.
It's not going to be McCafe, but it's...
Not that's a bad thing.
Listen, I've drank gallons of McCafe,
right.
But it's priced more competitively than Starbucks.
Right.
This is going to be more in line with a Starbucks, Caribou, Coffee Bean, Tea Leaf, that type of place.
Yes. So... I got a medium, and that's $5.35, and you got a large, which is $5.75.
Yeah.
You can also personalize personalize your cream, light, medium, creamy.
We also have to, the caveat also is pricing in California. This area of California also is a little different regionally. $5 and change for a cup of black coffee in where we're from in Cape Coral, this place would shut down. They would never survive. In this area, this demographic,
It's all about knowing your audience.
It's very appropriately priced. And I would say that this is what I was talking about, $5 and change for a pour over.
Because of the method.
Because of the method and the time it takes, you're getting a better product, you're paying a little more for it.
Yeah. So, would you come back here?
We're coming back tomorrow for morning coffee after the race.
How long did it take us to get here from the Disneyland area?
8 minutes. It was 8 minutes
driving.
From door to door.
Driving, yeah.
Driving.
So
it took me another 4 to find a parking space, so not bad. And there's plenty of on-street parking, literally right up front.
It's not, I don't think that there are any obstacles to coming and getting a great cup of coffee.
No, and like you said,
post-race.
they have multiple locations, you said.
Yes. So we will link to Philz in the show notes.
Yeah, we really do have to thank Alan for the recommendation. This is such a cute little area we're going to walk around and explore. I may have also noticed on our drive in here a brewery.
As we passed Angel Stadium.
We may have to take a swing back by after they've opened, but
yes.
The star of the show this morning is the coffee. We have been drinking hotel room coffee, and you guys have heard me talk about hotel room coffee before. It can vary. This is way better than hotel room coffee,
yes.
That's for sure.
Cheers.
Philz to the rescue. Philz. Alan to the rescue.
Yes. Thank you, Alan Young, and thank you, Philz Coffee.
It takes time to craft a cup of coffee the way that they do it there.
It does. And I'll tell you, this is not your place to go for I'm in a hurry. But you can, but this is not the place that I would recommend for it.
You should take time to enjoy it.
Yeah, go when you can enjoy your coffee.
Take time to enjoy it. Of course, yes, they have an app. You could download it. You could order ahead, whatever. But it was just nice post-race to have a delicious, well-made cup of coffee and sit out there in some of the most perfect weather.
Cute dogs.
With cute dogs, and just soak up the day with just a flavorful cup of joe.
Absolutely.
Again, Alan and Grace are winning.
Absolutely.
They are winning.
And thank you, Alan and Grace. Thank you, Philz Coffee.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cafe Hiro. And thank all of you for staying tuned, for accomplishing, exploring, and indulging with us. And we're going to bring you even more next week.
Very exciting and very close, near and dear to our hearts coming next week.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that. And we hope you'll give Magic Mind a try. Don't forget, it's magicmind.com/runeatdrink, and it's runeatdrink20 is our code. So give that a try, and thanks to Magic Mind for sponsoring this week's show. And that's a wrap. So thank you for joining us in 2024. Can't believe it's 2024.
It's February.
The second month of 2024. But thank you for joining us so far on your long run, your commute to work, around the house, wherever you are. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe and well, and we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.